Hi everybody, welcome back to Buy Time. I'm Stan Gravois and we move to the nickel segment, but it's also a sports segment, which is why I'm up here. It is very much my pleasure to have here at the desk with me the head coach of Nickel State Football, Coach Charlie Stubbs. First of all, congratulations are in order for a great 42-0 shellacking of Evangel University out of Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Congratulations on that. And I got to tell you, as far as you know, we're going to ask you about each particular part of the game, and we'll start with offense. But when you win 42-0, obviously some things went well for you. LeQuentin had a good game for you, over 400 yards of offense. Talk a little bit about your offensive performance, things that went really well, things that maybe you have to improve on.
Well, first of all, we were excited to play on a Thursday night. You know, we had that planned and to get a great crowd, and fortunately we were able to beat the weather, you know, before it really came in. So again, offensively, we did some good things. We were able to run the football very successfully. We had over 300 yards rushing, and you know, we've finished some drives, made some tremendous big plays. The biggest thing I feel like we need to really work on is definitely in our passing game. I mean, we did some good things. Bo Hebert came in and did some nice things with the passing game, but we got to be more consistent. But for us to really achieve all of our team goals this year, we got to be a viable threat both ways, run and pass.
Very good. Nick Selfo, young man at the tight end position, came up with a big touchdown.
Yeah, that was good to see, because again, we need that position to be something that's really respected, and it hasn't been since I've been here. I'm talking about we've got some good young players, but a lot of inexperience there.
Very good. Now, when we move to the defensive side of the ball, first shutout for Nickel State since 2006. Got to be pretty happy with the defense, right?
I'm very pleased with them. I mean, they made some tremendous hits. That's the one thing that I guess the game I really caught my eye was just that there was, like I say, some real contact out there, which is great to see. Our defense separated their ball carrier from the ball a few times, getting what we call get-backs or turnovers. The biggest weakness on the defense was we had other opportunities for turnovers. We had a few interceptions that hit us basically in the hands, and we've got to beating good teams, you got to make those plays. And then the other thing that was a concern is we had about 6 other opportunities for sacks, potential sacks, and we let the quarterback out of the containment, and he got to extend some plays. And when you really play a really good team, if you let that happen, then they're really going to make you pay the price.
Phases of the game or a phase that a lot of people tend to maybe overlook in a game like this that's 42-0, but I'm sure that you're looking at it knowing with your opponent this week that you got to be on task with it as special teams. Talk a little bit about your special teams. I know your punter actually came up pretty big, and I know that was losing a Dolan kid, something that y'all were concerned about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, first of all, special forces was how we term it here, and Coach Ricky Brumfield is now our special forces coordinator, and he's done a tremendous job thus far. We did some good things in special teams. Again, there's some flaws, but the good things is, of course, the punter, coming in and following Patrick Dolan. He averaged 48 yards a punt, hit the ball real well. We also had some good coverage, with our coverage teams, but those were individual plays. And then also we had some very good punt returns, led mostly by Bobby Felder, our cornerback. So again, we had some good points there. We had some young guys running down the field, new recruits and freshmen running down and making some plays, because that's their best way to get on the field right now, honestly, is through special teams. The things we got to be concerned about is we did get away with a few things, maybe like I said, in our coverage teams where we had an individual make a play, but there were some other guys out of their lanes. And if you really play a good football team, they'll exploit those things. So the good thing about everything is great to win. Of course, well, you never apologize for that. But it's easier as a coach to really be real critical after a win. They've got their good, some good things happen for them, but also they're real attentive. What you got to really be careful for as a coach is when you really come out on the short end and you lose a football game and maybe significantly lose it. You don't want to lose their confidence too. So right now, I'm excited. We had 9 days before we play, Western Michigan. That gives us a couple extra days in preparation and also healing time. And then, with that travel up to Michigan, that does take about a day away.
Well, going up, we're talking about Western Michigan. It's a situation where you're playing a team that actually didn't finish their last game, took on the University of Michigan, and that game was stopped because of weather with about a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Your impression seeing Western Michigan, and I must say, was it a good thing when you played on Thursday night and initially saw all of this that you did get that time maybe to play them, because they played on Saturday, so you actually get a little bit longer in that time?
I think it was definitely an advantage. I'm talking about at least for us in the way of our preparation. Last year, you might remember, we played San Diego State in San Diego, got back on a plane, came back, and then flew to Western Michigan. So we had a real tremendous short week. And again, it was a real physical game, San Diego State game. So this year, by having the 9 days, before we played Western Michigan, that's a good advantage for us, or at least it helps us go in with more firepower. Watching them play, of course, Big Ten type team, powerful. I mean, we played them last year, very physical football team. So again, we got our hands full, but I wish that they would have had to play the whole game against Michigan myself, because, just more wear and tear on the old body. But they played really 3 quarters, and so I'm sure that they'll look at their film and see the good things they did. But the biggest thing, the game was closer than the score indicates, because of course, Western Michigan drove the ball down a few times and turned it over, resulting in immediate scores for Michigan. So I really believe it could have been one of them nip and tuck games. And so we know that we're playing a very good football team.
And the MAC's a good conference, first of all. And second, it's what you mentioned. Michigan actually picked up a couple of fumbles and ran them back in for touchdowns. So the score is a little deceiving in that one.
You're exactly right. And, they're a good football team, and it's going to be a big measuring stick for us, because we played them last year. Now let's see where we really are. And last year in the game, we had the situation was 17-14 in the second quarter, and then they made a couple big plays. And so what we're banking on to win a game like this is just first you got to expect to win, and I tell the guys the way you expect to win is by great preparation, and thus far we've had a very good preparation this week. And then the other thing you've got to do is just play the game and be in a position. One of our goals for sure is be in the fourth quarter within striking distance, or ahead of course, but be there so that we can use some strategy. Next thing you know, I've been on those kind of teams where you really are maybe the favored team, where all of a sudden you're looking in the fourth quarter and you say, hey, what's this whole FCS or small school doing right here? They're hanging with us. Then all of a sudden we're gaining confidence and they may be losing confidence. So, it's a great opportunity.
Kalamazoo was a trip you made last year. Does it help this year? Do you understand things better? Do you understand when you get off the plane exactly where you're at in the area and such?
Well, we're also bringing back a whole lot of players that played last year, so that's a good thing. Yeah, it's very comforting to know exactly what the locker rooms are like, knowing what the stadium's like, what the crowd's really like, because it's going to be all Western Michigan for the main part. We have our group of fans that are coming, and this year I'm even excited that our cheerleaders we are able to work it out to include a lot of them on the flight. And so that's just exciting. I'm sure they're excited to be there. But we're just trying to get it more of an atmosphere, and we're going in there to win the football game. But it is comforting to know that the surroundings, that you know what you're getting into.
Western Michigan, obviously an FBS school. Next week, following week, UL Lafayette, FBS school. But next week, kind of exciting. You got Oregon State, you have Tulsa, and you have South Alabama. Can you talk about the significance of the program taking on these FBS schools? And I want to mention something that you spoke of. You're right. Look at Nichols coming here on us, because Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend I think lost to Sacramento State.
They did. And the thing, the philosophy of the program is, it just worked out this year that I was able to attract a team to come play us as an opener in our schedule. We had the opening. But like you mentioned, next year we've got some very good, FBS opponents on our schedule. But I really believe the kids that I'm recruiting and the direction of the program, that I like stepping out of the box some. I like playing these teams. I think it's going to help us tremendously in recruiting. And then also, I really believe we're going to continue to improve and be in a position to beat these teams. And the good thing is I know this, is that just like I mentioned, we beat Evangel 42-0 last. And around the surrounding area, people know about it. But I tell you what, you knock off an FBS school, a whole lot of people know about it.
Becomes national.
That's exactly, and that's what we're aspiring to. We've got a ways to go. We realize that in the program. But again, also at Nichols, unfortunately, sometimes you got to do some things to pay the bills too. And so those things help us to have, a little bit better things for our players and our student athletes, and helps the whole athletic department.
Well, you got a big one to start off the Southland Conference with Northwestern State, and we don't mean to jump the gun, but that's when you'll be back in town, and we certainly want the people in the area to know about this, to come back in September 24th. It's against your rival, Northwestern State, who you did a great job against last year, and actually did a great job against all of Louisiana schools you played last year. So let's hope that carries on to Louisiana Lafayette next week also. If you can, what would you please explain to people out there what it's important for you guys to get us in the stands following you, right?
Exactly. We're trying everything. I go around and speak to various groups, and we've had some very good support last Thursday. The biggest thing is, I'm sure the weather wasn't the greatest thing, but the biggest thing is we're trying to, we have a Colonel Walk, which we have 2 hours and 15 minutes prior to kickoff. Do that every game day, and we had a tremendous crowd out there. We had, of course, the pep band, all the players. We had cheerleaders. We had tailgaters out there, and it really was the best since I've been here at Nichols. So that was good. But again, we had an enthusiastic crowd. We're trying to get the students to stay and support the program, and I really believe they will, especially if they know some of the players. And so we make sure our players get out, make friends, and then we try to do it in the community. But having a big crowd, it's unbelievable what it really presents. Sometimes fans don't realize how much difference they can make in a game. And sometimes kids ask me, well, Coach, at Alabama or Louisville and BYU and all the places I've been, what's the difference? I tell them the biggest difference is atmosphere. That's it. It's the biggest difference. The game's the same. So it's just some places I played, 110,000 people in the stands. That's the biggest difference. But they can make a difference. They can be our 12th man. And at home, I tell the guys, for us to win, or what we say our goals are, like to win the Southland Conference. Well, to win that, you got to dominate at home. You cannot lose home football games. So that's the first thing you got to do. So again, I know the fans can help us get through those tough times, and also make it difficult on our opponent by making a lot of noise when they have the ball. And that's what you see. If you watch that on Saturday, that's exactly what you're seeing at the big schools.
Very good. And we do want to remind people on that September 24th date, I know led by Roddy LaReal, who was a good football player over at Nichols back in the 80s, he is getting, a committee is getting back all of the ex-athletes from Nichols State. So come on in. If you're an alumni who played any sport, not necessarily just football, any sport, they want to fill up the stands with just ex-athletes from Nichols State. I think that's a wonderful thing. We also want to remind everybody the Charlie Stubbs Show is now airing. You and Mike, if I'm not mistaken, go in on Tuesdays.
Tuesday at 11 a.m. at Copeland's.
So go out and visit them. Go to Copeland's. You could get your meal there, and you could see the guys do the show. It does air Wednesdays at 10:30, so you missed that one. Thursdays, tomorrow night, you could see it at 8:30. If you're watching this live, that is. Tomorrow night, you can see the show at 8:30 in prime time. Again, Coach Stubbs and Mike Detillier. I'm going to reiterate what happened before we came on the set. Both Jason DeGate and I were talking to you, and to say this publicly, you're doing a fantastic job there. You're making us all proud in the community. We enjoy going to the games. We can assure people, viewers out there, when they go to the game, they are in for a very competitive night of football, and I think it's only getting better and better, and we certainly wish you the best of luck this weekend against Western Michigan.
Well, I appreciate it greatly, and I'll tell the guys when I see them tomorrow.
Very good, very good. Congratulations on what's happened so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to take a commercial break. We're going to leave the Big N up because actually when we come back, the young man has committed to play baseball at Nichols, and we spoke with him a little bit earlier today. We'll do that after this break.